Welcome, adventurers, to our review of Alone in the Dark, a game that plunges players into a world of horror and suspense. Today, we'll delve into the depths of this atmospheric thriller to uncover its strengths and weaknesses. Alone in the Dark is a 1992 survival horror video game designed by Frederick Reynal. Developed and published by Infogrames in 1992 for MS-DOS, the game was eventually ported to macOS, the PC-98, the FM Towns, the 3DO, the Acorn Archimedes, and iOS. Set in 1920 Louisiana, Alone in the Dark focuses on Emily Hartwood and Detective Edward Carnby. The duo investigates Darcito Manor after hearing the news of Emily's uncle Henry Hartwood's disappearance. This is a whole new game that kind of reimagines the original 1992 computer game classic. That started it all. You don't need to have played the originals. This is just like a whole new survival horror adventure. So how is it? Well, it's got a lot of issues and a lot of it feels like missed potential. It's messy, it's pretty short, and has some awkward combat and cutscenes. But I think some hardcore horror fans or some older school horror fans should consider giving it a shot at some point down the line, maybe at a better price point, because there's a couple of cool things I'll point out. Let's start with the positives. Alone in the Dark excels in creating a chilling atmosphere that keeps you on edge throughout your journey. From decrepit mansions to fog-shrouded forests, every environment is dripping with atmosphere, drawing you deeper into its sinister world. Another standout feature of Alone in the Dark is its innovative use of light and shadow mechanics. As you explore the game's environments, you'll need to strategically use light sources to fend off the darkness and uncover hidden secrets. This adds an extra layer of tension to the gameplay and forces you to think on your feet to survive. I confess that I have always had mixed feelings about the Alone in the Dark series. Alone in the Dark is a reimagined remake of Infogrames' first game. It takes the original's interactability and story and translates them to fit the modern audience. Since it reimagines the original game, there are some new changes. This is better pacing that gives the game a detective noir feel, tying it to its Lovecraftian roots. After all, Alone in the Dark heavily draws inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft's works, and it shows in its weirdness. Now, let's talk about the story. Alone in the Dark weaves a compelling narrative filled with mystery and intrigue. As you unravel the secrets of the haunted mansion, you'll encounter a cast of memorable characters, each with their own motivations and backstories. The plot twists and turns keep you guessing until the very end, ensuring that you're always eager to uncover the next piece of the puzzle. If you've played any recent remakes of Resident Evil by Capcom, you'll find quite a few similarities to the gameplay of Alone in the Dark. However, these are pretty obvious yet rightfully welcoming. For starters, you can play as either Emily or Edward. Depending on who you choose, the story will undergo subtle changes. This is similar to Resident Evil 2, where the story underwent noticeable yet small changes depending on Leon or Claire. Outside of that, the game is a third-person shooter with a heavy emphasis on puzzle solving. When you are in Darcito Manor, most of your time will be spent figuring out the solutions to the puzzles. The puzzles are challenging to an extent, but not so difficult that you'll go insane. I found this to be the perfect spot of difficulty. Besides the difficulty, the puzzles also have a good amount of thought behind them. One such example is an early game puzzle. The job is to match the rotting pattern to reveal 3 names. You then find the corresponding numbers related to that name, cross-checking with pickable documents and lore pieces to find a solution to the puzzle, effectively progressing the story. Similar puzzles are found throughout the Darcito Manor, and solving them will progress your story. Each accompanying chapter of the game takes you to the other world. However, while elements like the story and atmosphere are good, some things stick out like a sore thumb. My biggest gripe was the game's over-reliance on playing music during the cutscene interactions. The music adds some fuel to the scenes. However, it sometimes makes the scenes awkward. There were some times when it felt like some silence during conversations would have helped. However, Alone in the Dark is not without its flaws. The game suffers from some technical issues, including clunky controls and awkward camera angles. These can occasionally detract from the immersive experience and lead to frustration during intense moments of gameplay. Visually, the game does have that double feel to it. Sometimes you'll see some texture pop and problems. However, I did see these weird fuzzy edges around the characters regularly. This was without any upscaling turned on. Upon closer inspection, it was from the anti-aliasing. The game doesn't allow you to select what type of anti-aliasing you want. And by the looks, it seems like the game forces a mix between Sma and Taya. Overall, The game runs like any Unreal Engine 4 title without any problem. If you can install it on an SSD, you won't see any performance drops. In conclusion, Alone in the Dark is a hauntingly atmospheric adventure that delivers thrills and chills in equal measure. While it may have some technical shortcomings, its compelling story and innovative gameplay mechanics make it a must-play for fans of the horror genre. So in the end, Alone in the Dark is really worth it. I would say yes, it is. Alone in the Dark is an earnest reimagining of a cult classic that many Lovecraft fans might enjoy. The story manages to be a multi-layered experience that adds a generous tinge of a creepy atmosphere. The horror elements have been well curated and never managed to feel cheap. This is combined with some earnest voice acting and casting that levels the game up further. While there are some shortcomings, including the sometimes wonky combat and graphical issues, I believe these can be addressed when the game launches. Regardless, if you're a fan of the long-running series or someone wanting to dive into the Outworld, I wholeheartedly recommend Alone in the Dark. Thanks for joining us for this review of Alone in the Dark. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more gaming content. And until next time, happy gaming!